Hello friends and happy April. Welcome to the new coffee chat. In this video, we're gonna be talking about finding grace, getting ready for the end of the school year. We're gonna be talking about notes to followers and a couple of different things. So if that sounds interesting to you, then you can just, we're about to hop right on in after we pick a mug for coffee, since this is a coffee chat. I was originally thinking my new Disney mug, but I'm in a very springy mood. So now I'm kind of thinking maybe we go with like spring, or maybe bunny, or maybe, this is kind of my mood today. Yeah, let's go with this one. This one's new. All right, here we are. All right, here we are. Coffee's made. It's always a little depressing when you make like espresso in a Rae Dunn mug because it's like so far down there it looks like hardly anything, but it should be yummy. So let's chat. If you're new around here, hi, I'm Becca. I'm an elementary music teacher and I have a business on Teachers Pay Teachers, which is what we kind of talk about here, is like side hustling and all the things. And I love these monthly coffee chats because it's a really nice time to sit down and just kind of like talk over the last month, talk about things that I have noticed, things that I've seen, questions that have come up, and it's really nice, like in the moment, like just things that are on my mind and what's going on. So you can also grab a cup of coffee or tea, whatever you fancy, and we can chat. And I don't want this to be a one-way thing, so leave me all your interesting things about the past month in the comments. If you have questions, leave them in the comments, like all of those things, so that we can have more of a discussion versus like, me just sitting here talking. So March, first of all, I feel like we were just talking about March beginning, but now that it is April, holy cow, April. Actually, I'm filming this a couple days early, so it's not quite April yet, but March has been the biggest roller coaster of a month ever. And by that, I mean, it has had really amazing moments and really horrible moments and everything in between. And it has just been like up and down, crazy town over here. So we started off with February was my best month ever. I finally hit 5 figures in just my TPT shop, which was super exciting. That was my goal. I narrowly made it on like the last day of February. I did a sale, I promoted some new products, and managed to scrape in the last little bit to hit that 5-figure mark. March has not been as high, which I expected because last year February was higher than March, so I knew that was coming. Also, if you have experienced this, many people have spring break in March. Like, we're on spring break right now, actually. And some people had spring break 2 weeks ago, and some people had spring break last week. And so if you've noticed your sales have gone down, it might not be you, it might just be from spring breaks. So also in April, a lot of people have spring break the week of Easter. So do be aware of that again. So I normally find that my sales go down a bit in March. So just FYI, if you've experienced that, don't super freak out because that's pretty normal. So like starting the month off on a really high note, and then some stuff has happened at school that is not my favorite, so that's been really frustrating, and I've had just a lot of frustrating school, and then like the kids are starting to get crazy because it's starting to get warm, and then my dog died, which was the lowest of lows. It's been really, really awful, to be honest. I talked about it a bit in a vlog that's coming out, so I give you more details if you're looking for it, but the gist of it is that she was 9, the German Shepherd, because I have 2 and now I have 1, but she was 9 and completely healthy. She was totally fine. It was very sudden. They think it was like a heart attack or a brain aneurysm or like a blood clot that burst or something like that, where, I mean, it was literally instant. Like, I saw it happen. There was no signs ahead of time. It just came completely out of the blue. So we have been in complete shock, complete devastation over that. And then, when you have something like that horrible, dealing with like the rest of the world is still turning, and like I still have to go to work, and I still have to do the dishes, and we still have to eat something, and like all of those things still happen, and it just makes it so much harder, especially as a teacher, because you can tell your kids that you're upset, you can tell your kids you're sad, but in the end, they're still 9-year-olds, they're still 6-year-olds, and so they're still gonna act like 9 and 6-year-olds, and so you still have to like push through it. And so it's just been really, really hard because of that. We also had a Disney trip planned, and we decided to just keep it and go. It was already planned and paid for, so we went ahead and went, which I think was a good decision because it was like, she died on a Sunday, which I was very thankful we were both home, but then I stayed home Monday because I was a disaster. I went to school Tuesday and Wednesday and just kind of did like, you know, the bare minimum of what I could handle. And then Thursday, Friday, we were already off because we always have spring break, not spring break, we always have St. Patrick's Day off. And so we had planned a Disney trip for that weekend. And so it was kind of nice to be like, okay, we can be sad and we can also be happy, and like we can be sad about our dog and also, you know, keep moving forward. And you know, if you're gonna be sad, it's better to be sad at Disney World than to be sad sitting at home. So we had a really good time on our trip. We would have had a much better time if we didn't have that, you know, lurking sadness overall, but it still was a good trip and I'm really glad that we ended up going. So then that happened and it's just been all over the place. We've had really great things, really horrible things, everything in between. There's some other stuff that's going on that I can't tell you about yet, but it's been like, I've been working on it and it's been adding stress, and like I got a really big grant at school, which is awesome. And so it's just been all over the place. So that's where I am, like really still sad about that. Lots of stuff going on and just kind of all over the place. If you've noticed, been a little more absent, that is why. In this time, I have been learning a lot about, again, you can be happy and sad at the same time, and just like finding all the good that there is even in the bad things, because there's always good around you, and just really holding on to those precious moments and those good things as much as possible. I try to spend as much time as I can with Talia, my, you know, remaining dog, and just really try to like embrace all of that. So that's my message to you, is embrace that. Take as many pictures and videos of your pups as you want. You know, spend all the time with them, use them as an excuse, lay on the couch, like all of the things. And if you're going through something rough, do take the moments to find the good so that you're not just like down in the dirt the whole time. I've also been learning about giving myself grace, because there are days that like last week, I was just like, I just can't handle anything. And that's okay. And like trying to find the bare minimum that I can do, and really parsing out like what are things that I have to do at school and in my business and around the house, and what are things that can kind of like be pushed off a little bit. And in general, I find that it's good to have those separations of like things I need to do versus things I would like to do. But it's just been a really good reminder to like separate out those things of like having maybe even like a physical list, like make a physical list of like, these are the things that I have to do and these are all optional. That way, if you have a week where you need to get rid of some stuff, you know what you can get rid of without, you know, horrible things happening and everything falling apart. So really look at that for yourself, whether, you know, hopefully nothing horrible happens, but even just like stress in general, or if you're just more tired than usual, it's good to have that idea of what can and cannot be skipped. Now with April coming up, there's a couple of things I did want to remind you of. So first of all, April, what was I gonna say? April, there's gonna be spring breakers in April, so don't freak out if your sales are down. There's a sale in April this year. There's not usually a sale in April. So I'm curious to see if we still have a May sale, like if we're gonna have 2 sales 2 months in a row, or if we're just gonna have an April sale. I don't know. Normally there's a sale in May, so that's why I'm super confused. But they just announced that, so if you didn't notice, go set your store on sale for Teachers Pay Teachers, because that is gonna be a thing next week. And so if you need some sale help, I do have some videos about sales on my other channel, so I will link those down below. But I would go ahead and set your store on sale, because that's happening. So there's that. Also for April, you want to kind of get prepped for the end of the year. So getting prepped for the end of the year in a couple of different ways. Number one, get prepped as far as your store. So like, do you have activities people can use at the end of the year? What are things that would be good for end of the year classes, and like thinking through that kind of stuff, maybe making some content about end of the year stuff. So it's getting your business kind of ready for that. Number two, if you know that you typically are really stressed out at the end of the school year, you also want to factor that in, and again, figure out what is going to be priorities, what you can do and what you can skip, and all of that kind of stuff. especially if, again, the end of the year tends to be really stressful because there's usually a lot going on. We're still kind of in that weird pandemic-ness, so you may or may not have a lot of stuff going on, but just, you know, being aware of that. And if you know that the end of the year is usually stressful, like making sure that you have systems set up in place so that that's not going to like totally destroy you. And then number 3 with the end of the year is, do remember that your sales will go down in May, and then June and July you'll make like nothing. So the reason I'm telling you that is you want to save some money now, so that when you get to like the June and July payouts, you will actually have some money. So that'll be like the money you get in July, and then the money you get in August. Those months are gonna be very low. And so if you have relied on your income at all from TPT, make sure that you have like a reserve held back so that you know, have that money ready when it is lower. So lots of things to think about with the end of the year coming. All right, we've got 3 more things to chat about. So I did want to give a little plug for the TPT Forward Conference. So they are having the TPT Forward Conference again. They're saying it's going to be in person, but they said that last year, so I'll believe it when I see it. I think it really will be in person this year. And there's also the digital option as well. My master plan is to do the digital option because I'm just always really busy at that time of year. We always have like a family vacation near when the TPT conference is, and it's just like a lot to like, you know, logistically get all that done. So my master plan is to do the virtual option, but I would highly recommend that you do the virtual option if you are not going to go in person, because you will still learn a ton. And what they've done the last couple of years is give you like a month to watch all the sessions, so you have plenty of time. Don't wait until the last day. It drives me bonkers when it's like the last week of the month and people are on the Facebook group being like, are we going to be able to see them after the end of the month? No, watch them in the time that you have. Yes, you're busy, I understand, but also like get it done. So I would highly recommend it. I have found them very useful the past 2 years. I've never gone in person, but I've done it the virtual option. So just a little FYI, I will put the link down below for that if that is something you want to do. I don't get anything if you sign up. I'm just suggesting that it might be really helpful because I do find them very helpful, and have enjoyed it the past 2 years. So I'm excited to do it again this year. I am going to do it virtually, which means I can sit in my pajamas and eat all the cookies with no one judging me about how many cookies I eat while I watch all the sessions. Y'all know I'm not actually gonna do that, but you know, it sounds nice, doesn't it? Now, one other thing about TPT that is new is that they have upgraded the notes to followers section. So there's been notes to followers that you can send for a while, and it used to be that you could only send like once a month, and it just like pushes out to your followers. And recently they changed it from once a month to like once a week. You can send 1 a week. And I've had a lot of people that have messaged me and be like, should I do this? And I was like, I don't know, I've never done it before, because frankly I've never read any of my notes that anybody's ever sent me. So I was kind of like, well, what's the point? But I do want to tell you, I sent my first one the other day. So we're testing out the waters, and what I actually did is I typed up my regular email that I was sending to my email list. I copy and pasted it into the notes to followers section. And then I changed the link. So I used the UTM codes, which are the custom codes that'll pop up so you can see where your traffic is coming from. And on my email one, it said like Becca's Music Room email. And then I changed the link in the notes to followers to say like Becca's Music Room note to followers, so that way I could see if it was working or not. And I do want to report that in my first note to followers, I did have like $30 that I made from that little thing. So, you know, not like millions of dollars, but 30 bucks, you know, I was like, okay, I'll take 30 bucks. And so I'm testing it out and seeing if I like it, and I will report back. So I just sent my second one the other day, and I'm just, you know, again, I'm testing it out. I'm seeing if I like it, seeing if it's going to be worth my time. And I'm probably, frankly, just going to copy and paste my emails, because your girl does not have time to write any more emails to any more people. So that's where we are currently. I will give you an update later on, especially if it is working, and let you know all the things, but that's where we are right this second. So, and for reference, I have like 2,000 followers on TPT. So And before you freak out and ask me about how to get more followers, don't stress about them, because frankly, I have not found it super useful. I didn't notice a big jump in sales until I got to the point where I had like 1,000 followers, and it took a really long time to get to 1,000 followers. So don't stress about it. I do have a video about it, but again, I would put my effort into like getting people on my email list or getting people on social media or something like that, where you have a little more interaction than once a week note to followers, you know. So that's my personal opinion, is don't stress about followers. If you're going to build an audience, build it somewhere else. But I will link a video where I did talk about a couple of ways that you can get more followers on TBT, in case you're curious, and I will update you about the notes to followers. If you have used notes to followers and if they have worked, let me know down in the comments, because I'm super curious now, because I've never used them until like a couple weeks ago, because I was like, let's try it. Let's see if this will work. All right, well, this is gonna be short and sweet because I'm down to the last thing. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is that April is the beginning of Q2. So in the business world, they typically split the year into 4 quarters, each one being 3 months long. So the first quarter is January, February, March. The second quarter is April, May, June. So the reason I'm telling you this is because we are now done with a quarter of the year, which could be terrifying. But I like to really sit down and assess where I am after each quarter, and especially after the first quarter and then like mid-year. I don't stress as much about Q3, but especially right now, just sitting down and assessing like where I am, what's going well, what needs to change, pulling out that list you made of all your goals and seeing what needs to change, what you like, what you should be more on top of, what you're not on top of, and just like really assessing where you are right now so that you know, keep on top of yourself and make sure you're moving in the right direction. The other thing I like to do at each quarter is setting up a plan for the next quarter. So this week I'm on spring break, like I mentioned, and my plan is to make a plan and actually, like, you know, decide what I'm gonna do for the next 3 months in particular, and just really trying to figure out like, okay, what do I want to spend my time on? What do I want to focus on? What are products that need to get created? What's content I need to make? Are there any big projects I want to work on? Spoiler alert, the answer is yes. Are there products I want to promote? Like, just really thinking through all of that kind of stuff to make sure that you're on track and then you have a good amount. I love quarterly planning because I find that you can get so much done in a quarter, but it's small enough that you can still fathom it. Like, when I look at the whole year, I'm like, there's so much that can happen in a year that, yes, I make plans for the year, but I don't like stress about them too much because so much happens between January and December. Whoa, it just got dark all of a sudden. But 3 months at a time is an easy amount of time to, like, you can visualize the next 3 months, you can kind of comprehend the next 3 months, and you can make plans for the next 3 months. You kind of know what's coming up, you know what's going on, and all of that kind of stuff. So that would be my suggestion, is really assess where you are and what's been working or not working, and then what you need to do for the next 3 months so that you can kind of keep on track of something. I've also, the other day, sat down and I went through last year's income by quarter, and so I wrote out like, okay, in Q1 I made this, in Q2 I made this, just to kind of see like how it fell throughout the year. And so that way I can try to compare it to this year and see like, okay, last year in Q1 I made this much, this year in Q1 I made, you know, however much I end up making, because I still have a few more days. And so like, just from a really fascinating standpoint, that can be really helpful. So I would recommend, you know, all of those things. Assess where you are, make some new plans, and then see, like, comparing last year to this year, how you're doing and how you're improving. Really what I wanted to see was if I made more money at the second half of the year than the first half of the year. And it was fairly close. It was a little bit higher the second half of the year, but it was not what I expected it to be. So I thought that was really interesting, but y'all know that I am a big nerd, so there's that too. Anyway, I would love to know what's going on with you in March. Hopefully it has been less eventful than mine. What you're up to in April, what are your plans, what are your Q2 plans, what are you gonna do, what have you accomplished so far? So let me know all of those things down below in the comments, and I cannot wait to see all the things that you have to say. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.